The stage lights were blinding, but behind the curtain stood a little boy, his tiny hands trembling as he clutched the old microphone he had borrowed from a kind neighbor. He was small, his clothes worn and patched, his shoes almost falling apart. The audience didn't know his name yet, but the way he stood there, nervously shifting his weight, told everyone that this wasn't just another performance. It was a fight for something bigger, something that came from deep within his soul. This boy had grown up in the poorest part of town. His father worked long hours in construction, his mother sold fruits by the roadside, and yet most days, they could barely afford enough food for dinner. Life was a constant struggle, and dreams were considered luxuries that people like him couldn't afford. But this boy, let's call him Miguel, carried a secret gift inside him, a voice that was pure, raw, and filled with emotion. From the time he was just 5, Miguel would hum songs his mother played on an old radio. Neighbors would sometimes stop by, amazed at how such a small child could sing with so much soul. But no one in his family ever thought that voice could change their lives. They saw music as a hobby, not a future. Still, Miguel sang every night, under the stars, dreaming silently of a stage he had never seen but always imagined. The chance came unexpectedly. A singing competition was coming to the city. Posters were everywhere, promising fame, recognition, and a chance at a new life. Miguel begged his parents to let him audition. At first, they refused. They worried he would be humiliated, that people would laugh at his old clothes and small frame. But Miguel's determination broke through the doubts. With tears in his eyes, he whispered to his mother, "If I sing, maybe people will finally hear us. Maybe they'll know we exist." His words pierced her heart, and she finally agreed. On audition day, Miguel arrived at the venue with his parents. Other contestants stood tall, dressed in shiny outfits, carrying the confidence of privilege. Miguel felt small, almost invisible. Some children even laughed at him, mocking his clothes and his nervous steps. His father clenched his fists in anger, but Miguel remained silent. Deep down, he knew this was his chance, and he couldn't waste it with fear. When his name was called, Miguel stepped onto the stage. The audience grew quiet, unsure of what to expect. Judges leaned forward, curious but doubtful. He was so tiny behind that massive microphone stand that one judge whispered, "Is he even ready for this?" Then, the music began. Miguel closed his eyes and sang. His voice was nothing like what anyone had imagined. It was powerful yet fragile, pure yet filled with pain. Every note carried the struggles of his life, the hunger, the long nights, the unspoken dreams. The judge's eyes widened in shock. The audience fell silent, then gasped, then slowly tears began to flow. This wasn't just singing. This was a soul crying out. By the time Miguel reached the chorus, one judge couldn't hold back her tears. Another whispered, "This is it, this is the reason we're here." The crowd rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, some crying openly. And then it happened. A judge slammed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained down from above, shimmering in the lights. Miguel froze, stunned, as the crowd roared his name. His parents hugged each other tightly, crying harder than they ever had. For the first time in their lives, they weren't invisible. For the first time, someone had recognized their son's gift. But the story didn't end with just one performance. With the golden buzzer came challenges Miguel never expected. Suddenly, the world was watching. People judged not only his singing but his appearance, his background, his poverty. On social media, some praised him, but others mocked him. He faced harsh words like, "charity case," and "pity vote." For a small boy, these words cut deep. There were nights Miguel cried himself to sleep, asking his mother, "Am I really good enough, or do they only feel sorry for me?" His parents, though struggling themselves, reminded him of the truth. His father said, "Son, your voice is your gift from God. People can mock what you wear, but they cannot mock what comes from your soul." Miguel held on to those words. With each new round of the competition, he poured his heart deeper into his songs. He sang about love, about loss, about hope, and about dreams. Every note was a reminder that no matter how poor he was, no matter how small, his spirit was greater than any obstacle. Slowly, the same people who doubted him became his greatest supporters. Fans from around the world wrote letters, saying his voice gave them strength during the darkest days. Mothers said his songs reminded them of their children. Workers said his performances made them believe in dreams again. Miguel's voice became more than music, it became a movement. When the finals arrived, the tension was unbearable. Miguel stood backstage, shaking, hearing the crowd chanting his name. He thought about every challenge he had faced, the hunger, the ridicule, the sleepless nights of practice. And then, he thought of his parents, who had sacrificed everything to let him stand here. He walked on stage one last time. As the music played, he sang not just to win, but to tell the world his story. Every word, every note carried the truth of a poor small boy who refused to give up. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. The audience erupted into applause, and though he was just a child, in that moment, he felt taller than anyone else. He didn't just win the golden buzzer. He won hearts, he won respect, and he won a future that once seemed impossible. And as Miguel stood under the shining lights, confetti falling around him once more, he whispered to himself, dreams are not only for the rich. Dreams are for anyone brave enough to believe. The story of Miguel became a legend. Not because he was poor, not because he was small, but because he reminded the world of a simple truth. Talent, heart, and determination can rise above any circumstance. Answer: whenever people remember that poor small boy with the stunning voice, they remember hope itself. After the golden buzzer. The moment Miguel won the golden buzzer, his life changed overnight. Reporters crowded outside his small home, cameras flashing as neighbors gathered, astonished that the boy they once overlooked was now the pride of the community. People who never noticed his family before suddenly wanted to know everything about him. But success brought new struggles. Fame wasn't easy for a poor boy. The money didn't come immediately, yet the attention did. His parents struggled to protect him from people who wanted to use him. Promoters promised riches, strangers offered contracts, and some tried to trick them with lies. His father, with no education in business, felt overwhelmed. His mother worried constantly about whether Miguel would remain the humble, kind boy he had always been. School became harder too. Some classmates looked at him differently. Some admired him, while others grew jealous. You think you're special now, huh? A boy once sneered at him. Miguel stayed quiet, but at night, the words replayed in his mind. He wasn't just fighting for his dreams anymore. He was fighting to prove he deserved them. The biggest challenge, however, came from within. The pressure of each performance grew heavier. Every time he stepped on stage after the golden buzzer, he knew millions were watching. What if he failed? What if people thought his first performance was a fluke? That fear almost broke him. There was a night, just before the semi-finals, when Miguel told his mother, maybe I should stop. Maybe I'm not strong enough. She took his face in her hands and whispered, you are not singing for the judges, or for the world. You are singing for the little boy who used to sing under the stars, dreaming of this moment. Don't forget who you are. Those words gave him the courage to keep going. When the finals came, Miguel sang not just as a contestant, but as a storyteller. He sang of struggle, of hope, of dreams that rise even from the dust. By the time he finished, the whole arena stood in silence before exploding into cheers. Judges cried openly. The audience waved banners with his name. And for once, Miguel believed, deeply, that he belonged there. After the competition, opportunities opened that his family had never imagined. Scholarships for his education, invitations to perform around the world, messages from people who said his voice helped them heal through grief, heartbreak, or loss. Miguel realized that his gift was never about fame. It was about touching lives. He used part of his earnings to build a small music school in his village, a place where children who couldn't afford lessons could come and sing for free. Talent has no price, he told them, and no one should be too poor to dream. Years later, when people spoke of Miguel, they no longer just called him the poor small boy who won the golden buzzer. They called him a symbol of hope, a living reminder that no matter where you come from, no matter how small or invisible you feel, your voice, your gift, can change the world. Miguel's journey teaches us something powerful. Dreams don't belong only to the rich or the privileged. They belong to anyone brave enough to chase them, no matter the obstacles. Life will always put challenges in the way, doubt, fear, ridicule, but those who refuse to give up will find their light. And just like Miguel, you too have a voice, a talent, a dream that can shine if you choose to believe.